welcome to a very, very special episode of Crosstalk this week. We have a wonderful guest, and I will let you introduce yourself.
All right. I'm Jay Evans, and I'm the executive director of Crossroads Community.
All right. So, Jay, for those who don't know much about your ministry or much about you, let's focus on Jay the guy, because I met you kind of towards the end of the summer, or September, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think at our first SAMA meeting. So tell us a little bit about who Jay is, where you're from, and how you got to Burn.
Yeah, I was raised in Portland, Indiana. My background was in leading worship and preaching, being a youth director, and that took me up to Fort Wayne for a couple of years. And while I was up in Fort Wayne, I volunteered at the Fort Wayne Rescue Mission, and it was volunteering there that the Lord began to draw me into social work. So I spent the next 5 years there. When those 5 years were coming to an end, just began to sense that the Lord was calling me to something new. I'm not quite sure what it was, but as I began to put out feelers and connect with people, he made it pretty clear he wanted me at Crossroads. I've been with Crossroads since July 14th, so we just passed 6 months, and I'm really excited for everything that the future holds there.
Great. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about maybe your, so you got your calling in there. What kind of started the ministerial calling for you? Obviously started local church level, and then has turned more into the social work and parachurch type level. Who were some important mentors, pastors, and such in your life where that kind of came about?
Yeah, my youth pastor was the one that led me to Christ. So we were at a youth rally on April 2nd, 2011. And I heard the gospel, and they gave one of those responses. It was like, if you don't know where you would go if you were to die today, raise your hand up in the air. And I did. And my youth pastor came up to me after it, and he said, "Hey, I saw you raise your hand up. Do you want to talk about that?" And I was like, "No, I thought this was confidential. Every head was bowed and every eye was closed." And I just began to tell him, I was like, "Man, I've been trying so hard to do this Christian thing, and it just doesn't feel like it's working." He's like, "Well, that's your problem. Like, you need to receive the gospel." And I did. And my life changed pretty drastically that day. And it was because of the life transformation I experienced as the result of youth ministry that my first call to ministry was playing music in my youth ministry.
Okay.
It was just to give back where I had received so greatly.
That's awesome. So you kind of began serving right away in the capacities that you were good and able to do, right?
Yeah. So I knew how to play the guitar, and they did evening services back then. They said, "Hey, what do you think about playing a couple songs during the offering at church?" And that turned into playing on Sunday mornings, leading worship, and on from there.
Yeah. I understand what that's like a little bit. When I was being mentored by a pastor who was pretty critical in my late teen years of, excuse me, helping me understand ministerial calling, even when I didn't necessarily want to hear it. And I was a guitar player, and he knew that. And then it was well, how about you just come to practice? And then I felt like I was baited a little bit from there, but it ended up being just more and more ways in which you truly do find joy in serving in the different seasons and capacities you're at. So that's just awesome to hear a little bit of your origin a little bit. So what about family?
Yeah, I've been married. I said I've been married. I am married, and it will be 10 years in May. Awesome. Married to my wife, Kaylee. We have a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So we keep pretty busy with those three. I
was going to say, there's never boredom at your house. No. Didn't I see a Facebook post from you the other day with your, it's the camera baby monitor that had you knocked out on a chair?
Yeah, I was knocked out I was sitting on a chair and my feet were on the bed. It does not look comfortable whatsoever, but a dad's skill is learning to nap in whatever circumstances there may be.
Yes, absolutely. It is. So when do you feel like you gain more of that when the first one comes, or is just more sequential kids, it just becomes a more hardened skill?
You sleep less and less. It's like, man, I'm pretty strong, and it's been like 5 years of no good night's sleep.
Yeah.
And that builds up. I'm like, I can sit somewhere and close my eyes. My parents have 6 kids.
Okay.
And my dad mastered that. He could sit on his recliner and he'd be out cold. And I'd always be like, man, how does he do that? Now I sit in my recliner and blink, and it's been a nap.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. We only have the one right now. She's 3.5.
Yeah.
But I have one older sister. But I think even before kids, my mom and my dad were at a mattress store shopping, looking for like a queen size mattress. My dad fell asleep on a twin mattress in the middle of a store with fluorescent lights and stuff.
That's amazing.
Maybe it's a generational blessings kind of thing.
Yeah.
The ability to
I
sleep
received
anywhere.
that.
But now, I don't know if your wife is this way. My wife cannot just sit down and sleep somewhere.
No, my wife can't sit down.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mine can, but she can't just fall asleep anywhere anyhow. It's almost like a superpower. I don't know why we have it and they don't, but it's...
I've never been one that like, I've always had a hard time sleeping, but it's just this season of life. It's like, you get it when you can get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And back to the sitting down thing, I'm sure it's more intense with 3. The moment you sit down and get comfortable, you have to stand up and go do something.
My gosh.
Right?
Yes.
So, Coby, I'm sure you feel this too.
I think they twitch as soon as like you kick the recliner out. They're like, bing, and they come after you.
Yeah, yeah. I've learned to try to avoid sitting or lean near the counter in the kitchen, so I can get a little bit of relaxation. But when I have to move, I can move.
Yep.
So it's that's always interesting. They never tell you about that with the parenting stuff. It's Are you afraid? You know, and I feel like the freak out about the fragile of the kid wears off after a few weeks.
Yeah.
But then once they become more able, the thing that nobody tells you about is how little you'll actually ever sit down again while they're conscious.
That's fair. That's very fair.
So, well, cool. On the parenting family side of it. So, as you said, you kind of found a love for the social work aspect at the Fort Wayne Rescue Mission. So was that just volunteer work there the time you were there, or were you in a position?
It started out as volunteering, so I was playing music in their chapel service.
Okay.
And I just had this overwhelming sense of like, I just want to be here, whatever that looks like. Mm-hmm. And I had none of the experience, and I reached out to somebody I knew that worked there, and I just said, hey, I really want to be here. Like, if that looks like a volunteer capacity, if that looks like an entry-level position, like whatever it may be, I would be really into that. And they said, well, just send us your resume. And then I had an interview.
Okay.
Started out working second shift, checking in the guys that were coming in straight off the streets.
Sure.
And in the 5 years I was there, I received 3 or 4 promotions and was the marketing manager by the time I was done.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you guys, because I'm trying to remember, because I feel like you told me some of this, but I and for our listeners to hear too.
Yeah.
What really kind of opened the door to coming to Burn?
Yeah. I had a really hard time with coming back to Burn because I was born and raised in Portland. Mm-hmm. It felt like coming back. And, you know, I'd gone off to Fort Wayne and was living there and doing this and that. And I really struggle with that. When all of this started, I was driving and praying one day. And I remember a distinct moment where I said, Lord, I really just need you to lead me. And I felt this sense of like, what if I lead you somewhere you don't want to go?
No.
And I was like, well, I've had enough of that, for one. Uh-huh. But I began, as I sensed he was calling me, I thought we were being called to Muncie. So we really pressed into Muncie, and that all fell through. Mm-hmm. And I began to look in Fort Wayne, and all of that fell through. And I reached out to Rob Parker with Project Connect here in Adams County, and he has connections in the jail. And I thought, man, if I could work in the jail, I could be, share the gospel in there. And he said, well, Crossroads is actually looking for a new executive director. And I was like, whoa. And as we began to talk and have conversations about it, it just became very clear that was where the Lord was using my social work experience and my ministry experience to bridge the gap and connect those services. Wow.
So, the leading somewhere where you don't want to go, I immediately think of John 15:17, towards the end when Peter has his reinstatement.
Yeah.
Somebody will lead you somewhere you don't want to go. And he talks about Peter's death specifically there. But I also think it's really fascinating. You talked about that specific event in 2011, at your conversion, and then, getting into discipleship and service and all of those other things. As your Christian life continues to develop, the calling can sometimes shift and change.
Yeah.
And you seem like you've probably been here too. You get to this point where you end up somewhere and you almost laugh at how the Lord puts all this stuff together. And you're like, man, if you would have tried this 10 years ago, this never would have happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have had the fortitude or the enough kicks in my direction to actually listen to this type of a prompt.
Yeah.
So I think the way that he develops us when the time is necessary that he's appointed, I think is just a beautiful thing because, what I found in trying to discern that stuff is I'm just really bad at it. So I almost need him and other wise people to just help me figure out what on earth I'm actually going to do.
Yeah.
So that's just so cool to see that, okay, the other pillars fell. This is the one that's left. And here's an open opportunity. So what has you had a bit of a relocation hiccup trying to get out of Fort Wayne and get here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You want to talk to that a little bit? Cause I've got some story on that too.
Yeah. So we started preparing to move before we knew where we were going.
Okay.
Cause we knew the Lord was calling us to move. Like we just knew. My wife and I are both on the same page about that. And she is one that we're like, if I were just losing it of like, we're going to go move when we don't know where, she'd be like, you're nuts. But this time she was like, I'm sensing the same thing. And so in June, we started getting our house ready to sell. And I remember my realtor coming over and he's like, so where are you moving? I was like, I don't know. And he's like, oh. And there was a shooting in our neighborhood in August that kind of sped up the process. We had a house lined up to move into at the end of October, and 2 weeks before closing, it fell through. Oh, man. So between September and November, we were working diligently to get moved, hopefully before Christmas. I looked at 16 or 17 houses. I put in 3 offers. I had 2 accepted, and we finally got moved. Ended up, funny enough, moving back to Portland on December 17th.
You ended up back in Portland.
I ended up back in Portland. I was like, okay, God, like you led me where I did not want to go. Like, here we are with joy in my heart.
Yeah. Wow. So, well, fortunately, I'm glad you're within like 25 minutes instead of an hour.
Yeah. The 20-minute commute is solid. Like it's enough to reset my brain. There was a period of time where we were in a rental house 2 minutes away from the office, and that's kind of intense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, sometimes a little further proximity is a good reset, especially in the type of work that you're in. It's more of a clock in, clock out. When you're on, or are you around the clock available kind of?
I'm around the clock available.
Okay. So same thing as ministry type stuff then.
Yeah. And I'm really grateful for that time because though I live in Portland, my parents live in Portland, so that's been really helpful. Mm-hmm. But now when I interact with guys that are coming to Crossroads, I've been to a handful of churches in Bern, and I've gotten to know a lot of the pastors, and I can say like, hey, I know this pastor, I know of this church. Like it would be really good for you to go there. So I'm glad to have that experience of directly being impacted by a lot of the churches here in Bern. Good.
And do you feel like that you have been well received and well supported?
Better than anticipated. Not that I had bad anticipations, but I was so warmly welcomed by the community and by several different pastors. It's been really great.
Good. I'm really glad to hear that. I felt similarly when I got here. I immediately had, because Mike Wilson was SAMA president when I started, and he was immediately got a hold of me, met with me, all of that kind of stuff. And then I actually had some connections with Jeff Linthicum and Jim Schwartz at First Mennonite. When I was in college, they have Wednesday night chapel services, and I actually came up here and taught a month of Wednesday night chapel services. So I had some relational connection here already, and I just I don't feel like I've been a stranger since I've been here. I mean, I think this community, from what some pastors who've been here a really long time, like 30 years, have told me, that's been a big growth step for the Bern Christian community over the last 30 years. Sometimes there was some resistance to outsiders, which I've never seen in my time here. So for a couple of guys who are well seasoned to see that change in their pastorate was really awesome to hear, because the only thing I've seen is the blessedness from these people, which has been a really great thing.
Yeah, I grew up. There's stereotypes both ways between Portland and Bern.
I'm sure there is.
And I grew up hearing the Portland side, and I was in Bern, and But what's really remarkable to me was I met with 3 different pastors, and we were looking around at churches trying to figure out where we were going to move, where we're going to go to church. And every pastor I met with said, there are so many great churches in Bern. make sure you try out several because there's so many great ones. And that's just not normal for pastors to have that attitude. Like, it wasn't normal in Fort Wayne. It's not normal in Portland, but to be like, none of us are competing against each other. We're all on the same team was really remarkable to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good measure of the pulse here. I mean, I know Jeff Linthicum at First Mennonite has said from the pulpit, if somebody comes to Christ through one of you, but they end up worshiping and being discipled across the street or down the road or whatever, we're celebrating because that's a win for the kingdom.
Yep.
You know, he said, we're a body, not a harem, or
Yeah.
I think is how he phrased it.
Yeah.
Jeff, I'm sorry for butchering really wise and wonderful things you've said because I'm just young and stupid. But anyhow, so that's just been, it's a really warm atmosphere, you know, and that's the biggest thing. So have you guys found your place where you've kind of found a fit plugged in, or you've been transitioned so much?
Yeah, it's been a lot of transition. I try to be at a couple different churches a month, just promoting Crossroads and making connections. The church that I was saved at, discipled at, and like married at is in Portland. It's Fellowship Baptist. So a lot of times when we have a free Sunday, my dad's one of the deacons there. So we kind of go there because my kids like to go to church with Papaw.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually if I don't have like a scheduling thing somewhere, I'm usually in Portland at church.
Sweet. No, that's awesome. And all of the history and connections that you had there too.
I was baptized there. Like every significant moment of my spiritual journey, like took place at that church.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. And you know, back to where you didn't want to go, but you have this place with all of these really excellent moments in your life, and your kids also get to be a part of that with your family and your parents and such.
It's the same pastor. He's been there for like 35 years.
I love that.
So it's super cool. It's super cool.
Wow. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like guys who make it in one place for that long in the pastorate, they need to write like a memoir of that experience, and also what did they have built in to get there in a healthy way. You know, I just really admire and try to listen closely to guys who've been in the game for a really long time, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but you see these older guys who just have an abundance of joy about them. I find that to be such a magnetic thing, because if we're in Christ in the ways that He's calling us to be, you know, even more so than ministry leader and pastor or parachurch ministry, resource, community stuff type of directors, we're children of the King. Yeah, and I think the more that I'm assuming the more you find your belonging in that, the rest of the things that are truly secondary tend to fit together more smoothly. Would be my assumption and such. So, tell us a little bit about your ministry. Yeah. What is Crossroads? What does Crossroads do? How can we inform the public of the things that you guys offer, and also how we can pray and even participate and be a part? Yeah. So Crossroads Community offers transitional living, transitional housing to guys that are battling addiction and or coming out of the Adams County Detention Center. So when a guy is maybe on home detention, isn't quite ready to live on his own, a lot of times a good fit is for them to come through Crossroads, spend a few months with us, go through our program. And then when they're off of what we call the ankle monitor, they're in a better place than they would be. They've received solid programming. And we are faith-based, pretty strategic about that. I remember when I first started, I told our team, I said, hey, we have a lot of great resources here in this program, but if somebody comes through and we make all the right resources and referrals, but we fail to teach them about Christ, like then we failed the person as an individual. So my dad likes to joke that since we have guys on the ankle monitor, we have a captive audience for the gospel. Yes, but it is true. Like we just reopened our third house today, actually, and it has a live-in staff member. Okay. So it's our first house that's going to have a live-in staff member. So these guys have staffing under that roof 24/7. The other houses are what we refer to as 3/4 living. So you're not quite living on your own, but you're in a group setting with the guys. Staff is in and out throughout the day. There's cameras in the house. But really what we're passionate about is providing transitional housing that leads to a transformed life. Okay. Transitional housing leads to a transformed life. So if we have to remember anything from the summation of what you've said in this episode, transitional housing leading to a transformed life. And I also like your dad's comment about the captive audience. That's really well played. Yeah. I haven't tried that on the guys yet. So if they're watching this,
There you go.
Awesome. So now I was, the next question was going to be, how can we pray for you and your ministry? On the ministry side, I remember when you shared, I think it was October at that SAMA meeting at First Mennonite, you were trying to find the third house that had a full-time staff member. So that's something that's come together.
Yeah.
So from a resources standpoint, and because you guys are nonprofit, right?
Right.
Okay. So I think the house was kind of coming together as far as the property itself, but you've since found a staff person.
Yep.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So
had our
that's
first guy move in today. At
Wow.
10 o'clock this morning, he got released from jail. He came to Crossroads to the house. We call it the welcome house.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the highest supervised, then the 3/4, and then
Yep. Then you're
good.
graduated.
Graduated. I love that.
Yep. And our plan is like, you'll go through the welcome house, and if you're ready for it, then you move on to the 3/4 living. What we've seen is some guys just get out and they're not ready for 3/4 living, but that's all we had to offer. And I've probably seen 4 or 5 guys that didn't make it through the program because they weren't ready for that level of responsibility. And my heart was like, well, let's meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
And that's what this house offers.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that comes to the shepherd's heart piece on your end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're asking something that they can't give. So how do we, in the biblical terms, how do we go find these sheep and tend for them in the shape that they're in, to nurture them back to health, to take them to green pasture? How do we make that happen? So I think that's just a really excellent. I don't know if you would call it a conviction or just reading the situation to kind of go in that direction. So how many team members do you have?
We actually just doubled our team size in the last 2 weeks. We went from 2 to 4.
Okay.
So that was super cool because we were a skeleton crew there for a little bit. We just hired an administrative assistant and a live-in house manager. And then we have a residential manager, and I'm the director.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
4 of us, we have 3 houses, about 15 guys. So we stay pretty busy.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And now some people think 4 people for 15, that seems like a pretty high ratio of volunteers for the amount of people that you're with, but what you're dealing with is vastly different responsibilities and presence in a person's life than some other things like you have one youth pastor and a couple of volunteers for 15 kids or something like that in much less frequent settings where you're in the trenches with these guys every day.
Yeah.
And
they need rides, they need resources. And we are the ones that often are stepping into that gap and providing those resources.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a friend who I was pretty close with in high school. He, made some not excellent decisions immediately upon graduation. He ended up in prison, and I hadn't thought about him for like 5 years or so. This was the early 2020s. And I asked my pastor from back home who knew him, I was like, hey, have you heard from Andrew or anything about his whereabouts? He said, no, but you should probably pray for him. And I kid you not, 3 days later, his stepdad reached out to me and he said, hey, I talked to him. He wants to know if he could have your phone number so you guys could talk. I was like, yes, absolutely. So, but when he got out, because we've kept in touch, he's originally from the Midwest and he's down in Texas. He gets released and he's just got to figure everything out. How much am I able to do besides pray other than just talk to him on the phone?
Yeah.
So I think what you guys offer is something that is critically needed in, especially the reassimilation piece.
Yeah. We get guys that have been in prison for 15 years, and to get them out and just let them loose is daunting. Like, especially when recovery is a part of their story.
Oh my!
Like you've been institutionalized, and then you're sent off to go to evening recovery meetings at a church you've never been to with people you have no idea who they are. And we're able to walk alongside those guys, drive them to the meetings, sit in the meetings with them, and it's really good.
So you go and meet them upon release. You pick them up. You you're with them from the get-go.
Yeah.
That's
we
a
walk
big deal,
alongside
man.
them, and it's like a very like gentle handoff when they're ready to go to meetings on their own. Like, you get your license, you go off. But we're committed. We don't receive any government funding because my heart for what we do is so pastoral, and that's the way Crossroads has been historically. Is we're a ministry, we're a nonprofit ministry, and we know a lot of these guys, because of their records, like, it can be hard to find housing. So to be like, well, you have to be done in 9 months per these requirements that we have, like, that just doesn't track.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a super, discerned and faithful posture on your guys' part to approach it that way. Yeah. And I think ultimately what you're doing is you're doing a big fulfillment of the Great Commission. And even where Jesus said, I'm going to butcher this, feeding me when I was hungry, visiting me in prison, all of this type of stuff. You're going into the trenches of the most needy folks.
Yeah.
And we all have different variations of needy. I'm not saying that some
I know what you're saying.
more needy than others. Needs look different. And in all of the practical and relational ways that you're able to meet that, in something that the data has shown us is an issue for people coming out of correctional facilities, is the reassimilation. So for you guys to be such an involved measure in that, I think is just a remarkable resource that we have in Adams County.
Yeah. And we work really closely with Project Connect. They're based out of Decatur.
Yeah.
And they provide the resources in the jail. So they're working with the guys when they get into the jail, when they come out of the jail. There's a seamless handoff between Project Connect and Crossroads that sets them up for success.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So I've got a question written in from Coby.
All right.
How do they get their men to bring into the program? How do you guys get your men to bring into the program?
I would say 90% of it is referrals from Project Connect. So they're working inside of the jail. And a lot of times guys will get not a deal, but like it affects their sentencing if they can get accepted into a program like Crossroads. Okay. So Project Connect will get them an application. They'll send it to us. We'll approve them, and they can take it to a judge and say, I'm approved to go to Crossroads. So it can be that way. A lot of it's word of mouth right now. Like, I'm getting a ton of applications from Wells County. And I'm like, this is crazy. I had a lady stop me at church a couple weeks ago in Portland. She's like, I have a son. It's in Lafayette. So Crossroads has only been around for like 3 years.
It's that new?
It's that new. And so traditionally it's been pretty hands-on, but now like word of mouth starting to get around the services we provide. Funny enough, like I had somebody that came through and filled an application. They were in my gym class when I was a gym teacher in my early 20s. Okay. So just word is getting around of the resources we're providing. And we're just excited about the future.
I'll also say of you, just even observing your online presence a little bit, you yourself are a pretty effective communicator and getting the word out about things. I find a lot of what you say to be very inspired. So I'm sure that, you kind of is the head of the ship a little bit here. There's probably a gravity that comes with that too, just because of who Jay is as a guy and how people are seeing Christ in you. That immediately would be, if I'm thinking of somebody I have to recommend, I'm probably calling you first. That's just something in the short time I've known you that I've really picked up from you. So just kudos to you for being a faithful ambassador for the gospel in the place that you've been. So. I guess another thing I want to ask is, what are some practical needs, prayer needs, other things that maybe you have just for yourself and your family, or also for your ministry? Yeah.
To be really specific, right now we're praying for a van. So our numbers of guys that we're serving is growing. Our houses are growing. We added some more staff members. We drive guys to probably at least 2 appointments a day. Okay. And that can get tricky when they're from Bern to Decatur. Like my coworker Landon told me last week, he's like, bro, I was in Decatur 4 times today. And I was like, we have got to get another vehicle. Okay. So that's a really specific one. Like, we are just praying for another vehicle for Crossroads.
Okay. Need a minivan or a 15 passenger?
Yes.
Okay. Anything.
Anything.
Okay.
Just because that resource, I mean, it'll be utilized like the day we get it.
Okay.
And we're trusting, believing that God's going to provide it, because we have a Buick Enclave. Somebody donated that to us.
Okay.
We have one of our guys had a car donated to him. So we've seen God do it before.
Yeah. Well, those of you who are listening, you know what they need.
That's
all
right.
So
that we're always looking for food donations to stock our houses. I mean, 8 guys will go through. Our house indicator has 8 guys living in it. Like, they will go through food quickly.
Yes.
So pantries, stable items are always helpful, and they go through a ton of coffee.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, a ton of coffee. I was in one of the houses,
and it's expensive anymore.
Yeah.
Maxwell House is like $11 for a can that's about the size of my cup.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Anytime I'm like, what do you guys need? They're like, Jay, we need more coffee, and I'm like, I got you.
Okay. Well, so those are the really immediate things, the resources you need. I guess from a spiritual side of things, how can we be praying that these guys grow up in Christ and that they come to know Him, and I guess you and your team's level of involvement in that. How can we pray?
Yeah, we get a lot of guys that are, I mean, they're comfortable with us being faith-based, and it basically stops at that.
Okay.
Just that we would have the courage to boldly share the gospel with them, that they would have hearts that are open to the good news.
Sure.
Is tremendous. And just that we would continually trust in the Lord's provision. In the past, Crossroads hasn't done a lot of like fundraising and raising support. So that's a lot of what my focus is for 26, is not just the money aspect of it, but just going around and letting people know, like, this is happening a mile down the road.
Right.
In 2 different places here in Bern. It's happening in Decatur. Like, these are guys that are coming out of the jail. They're looking for a second chance. And like, who else knows better about second chances than born again Christians?
You're preaching. Yeah, that'll preach. That'll go a long way. Holy smokes. And and I think to that end, I got to be careful not to put my preacher hat on at the moment.
Yeah.
But He has been so kind and gracious and good to us, even though we still fail Him, even in the redeemed life, we have these shortcomings. So I think, some of the skepticism that can come up with some of this is we're, as Americans, afraid to be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
I think that comes up. But as Christians, to some end, you have to take that risk.
Yeah.
And I think that would be, we have a guy in our church who's just exemplary at making connections with, these different types of people. And I admire him because he doesn't care. He's like, okay, I'm going to use my resources and my life experience, my wisdom and my equipping, and to be the best representative of Christ and try to disciple these people as I can be. And if it just doesn't work out, then okay, I tried.
Yeah.
and I just think that's really sweet. And I hope that more of that type of stuff shows up and shows out. Yeah. Especially as you guys get word out with what you're doing, and not just your ministry, but in Christian communities across the world. Yeah. I just think it's truly remarkable thing what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And any other final things that you would like us to know or that you would like to share before we close this super exciting and informative episode today?
Yeah. Our website is crossroadsadamscounty.org. So if you want to learn more about us, feel free to hop on our website. My info's on there if you want to send me an email and learn more. We'd love to come out and speak at your church if you ever be interested. But having a background in ministry, I love to offer to pastors of like, hey, if you ever need a Sunday off, like, I'm happy to come help you out. Just let me put in a little plug for Crossroads. Sure. Leading worship in the past, like if you ever need a worship leader to come help out, like, would love to. Our heart isn't to make a big deal about what we do, but to make a big deal about Jesus and what He's doing through Crossroads Community.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jay.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
A true honor.
Yeah.
And thank you to our listeners. And again, we're gonna promote this one pretty hard. You need to check this out. You need to listen to, especially these interviews when stuff's going on. It's just a really useful information, I guess, for us to continue to be kingdom partners with wonderful people like Jay who exist in our community. So thank you so much for listening today. May the Lord bless and keep all of you, make His face shine upon you and give you peace. And we'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. I am not Jay Evans. I'm Coby. And this is episode... Oh, wait.
We've lost our whiteboard.
We've upgraded slightly.
Yes.
This is episode 13 of Crosstalk. You just heard the interview with Brad, and I'm not Jay, but I'm sitting where Jay was sitting, with Jay Evans from Crossroads
Community.
Community.
Yep. So transitional housing leading to a transformed life. Their organizational.
Try that again.
Transformed.
With this hand.
Okay. So transitional housing, transformed life.
There you go.
Yes. Transitional housing leading to transformed life. Had a really great sit down with him. Jay is, from the short time I've known him, just struck me as a very remarkable leader figure, a very convicted guy, a very skilled and gifted guy, but also one who has a great measure of humility and going into the trenches to do some critically necessary ministry on the reassimilation of guys who are coming out of addiction recovery or the Adams County Detention Center, the jail. So we're just very thankful to have a direct faith-based Christian ministry resource.
Yeah.
And I would accuse Jay of, he's a pastor in this role. That's just kind of how he struck me to shepherd people well. So it was a really great sit down with him. I'm thankful he came on. So
I was watching awkwardly in the corner over there.
But hey, we had a question that was written in, so
I wonder where that came from.
Yeah, that worked out from across the room. Would have been really cool if you would have done it as like a paper airplane.
That would have been funny, but I was afraid I'd like hit him in the face, and that wouldn't be very nice.
Yeah,
he's new around here.
Yeah, he's new, but seems like a guy who can tolerate shenanigans. If you've been a youth pastor, which he's been, and in the type of ministry he's in, you got to know how to be light.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But yeah, it was just really good stuff. So as far as other things,
what do we have going on, Brad? I'm going to put you on the spot this time.
What do we have going on? So we got through the accepting of the budget and all the annual reports. Thank you all for showing up and participating and giving your discernment and wisdom to those things. And we also had the Winter Wonder event last night. And
I assume it was successful.
Yes. Yeah.
I assume.
There were decent-ish amount of cars in the parking lot, I think, when I got here.
I think there were at least 20 women that participated.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So if we get some more updates on that, maybe we'll hear from this Sunday morning. That seemed to go well. As far as what's coming up, so not on Super Bowl Sunday, but on February 15th, we have on Sunday, February 15th at 4 o'clock, we are watching the movie Wonder. We're going to be providing snacks and all of our usual goodies and such for an enjoyable fellowship time with the movie, family movie. So feel free to bring kids, grandkids, friends, and neighbors. Should be just a wonderful time together for that. What else do we have going on in February? I feel like there are a couple other things.
We didn't talk about announcements yesterday at staff meeting, so I don't actually know.
Ooh, that's good. You know what? It'd be hilarious if you went up and said, "All right, church, I have a few announcements. No idea what they are. Kids are dismissed."
So last week at youth group, I went up there and said, "Okay, it's time for announcements." And I go, "There are no announcements." And then I go on the net slide, and the net slide is, and I go, "Huh." And then I sat there for like 15 seconds and everyone started kind of like squirming in their seats. I go, "Time for worship, stand up."
Awesome.
And then we get to the end of worship and Abby's getting ready to pass out the snack. I go, "Actually, I just remembered I do have an announcement." But it took me getting through worship to realize that we had announcements.
Nice.
One announcement.
So I did remember the one thing. January is the Hope Clinic baby shower
Yes.
event. So we're hosting a church-wide baby shower for the Hope Clinic through the month of January. Everything's set up down in the narthex for that. You can place your donations in the baskets in the narthex. Shopping lists are also on the mission table, so you still have a little bit of time to do that the rest of this month. So this coming Sunday is the final day to bring your gifts. So if you're watching this on Friday, go get everything you need to get that taken care of.
Walmart is 15 minutes away. You can do this. I believe in you.
Yes. And we have the Winter Soup Luncheon, February 1st. So that is a week from Sunday. Yes. Yeah, I can't believe that we're already through the end of January.
Hot dog.
I guess this trying to hide in whatever building and avoid the cold right now is just making the days fly by.
Yeah.
So yeah, February 1st, we've got the soup luncheon. There's a sign-up sheet in the narthex on the welcome table. So if you want to bring soup for just a church fellowship dinner that day, we're going to be doing that after the service. So are you, by chance, a soup man?
I do not like soup.
Whoa.
Sue me. I don't like soup.
Oh. What about soup is so undesirable to you?
I was forced to eat soup that I did not like as a child.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Okay, so I guess I would eat chili if I was making it for myself and I got to choose what was going into it.
Sure.
And so now, as some of you or many of you know, I have a lot of dietary restrictions, and now I really just don't eat things unless like I truly know what's in it or I've made it myself. That's kind of where I'm at anymore anyway.
Sure. Yeah,
my hand has been forced.
Sure.
You know, there's lots of things that I like to eat and I know, oh, I probably should not eat that. I'll be very sorry if I do.
I
like macaroni and cheese, or my wife has these really good smelling chicken nuggets that are like a knockoff of like Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Oh yeah.
I'd really like to eat those. Can't eat them.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. I'm sorry that your body fights against you in such a way. I, for one, am quite an avid soup guy. I like to make soups, and I certainly like to consume them. I am married to someone who, at best, was very hesitant to soups. I make this cheesy chicken enchilada soup, and my wife actually likes it and eats it pretty
good.
well. It's kind of I heard my friend Cody Feisel, his mom Patty, hi Patty, shout out to you.
Hi Patty.
Called that particular soup a dump soup because you just keep throwing things in it.
Dump cake. Have you seen that dump cake?
No, I haven't.
I'll have to send it to you.
Okay. But you've got 2 cans of black beans, 2 cans of red beans, 2 cans of corn, 4 cups of water, chicken bouillon,
booyah.
Chicken breasts or tenderloins, whatever you use. I use the tenderloins because they cook better and faster. And then you shred it all up when it's done and then throw it in. You Rotel tomatoes and green chilies, a little bit of tomato paste and homemade taco seasoning. You throw all in there, and then you put like a pound of cheese on it when you're done inside this pot. And it's pretty delicious.
That doesn't sound, I'm sure there's things in there that would not agree with me, but like the idea of it sounds good.
Until the cheese. Yeah. You could also add the cheese afterwards if it was a big deal. I don't think any of those ingredients have any of the gluten or...
Because you said there's a mix of different beans, there's chicken, there's seasonings, there's water.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
So in theory, I would try some of that. More about the soup that I was forced to eat. My dad would just make like vegetable soup with like chicken in it. And I'm sure like it was good, but like a lot of that is like texture. I really don't like cooked vegetables. Like I don't like cooked carrots. If you hand me a bag of like baby carrots or like carrot, strips or stalks or spears or whatever, I would eat raw carrot all day.
Yep.
I don't like celery.
Celery should not exist. It's awful. It's crunchy hair with water.
Yeah.
And it's awful.
And then there was like beans in it, but like it's such like a watery, thin soup that like I
Probably because all the vegetables.
yeah, and it had good flavor for the most part, but like
You know what doesn't belong in a vegetable soup?
celery.
Cabbage.
Ooh, no, he didn't put any of that in there. But
I'm offending my father. My father makes a great beefy vegetable soup, kind of similar to the chicken one that your dad made, but I can't get over the cabbage. I would always have to like pick around it because it was just a texture, this wet, slimy, and you know, cabbage is fairly dense. It just did not fit well. It was like a big wet vegetable noodle that just didn't belong. Yeah. So I feel your pain with that.
So imagine like eating like mushy carrots, mushy, salty, chickeny carrots.
I actually like cooked carrots, so I can't.
We're getting there, right? And then there's like a hunk of chicken. Okay, cool. And then you get like a piece of celery. Like the celery doesn't really like soften up. It's still like crunch, like Nope.
Yeah, celery. The celery is terrible. Do not stock up on celery stalks. Just eradicate it forever. There's no nutritional value in it. The only thing that you gain from it is if you just have a habit of chewing on things and eating them because you're anxious or bored, it takes more calories to consume celery than it gives you. Outside of that, I would say throw it away.
You have a nice jawline if you chew a lot of celery, right?
I have no idea.
I would have to think that chewing gum, which is a much better thing to chew on than celery, I'll tell you that.
Yep.
Like, I like to think that if I chew a bunch of gum, my jaw will become defined and like muscular, and then I can like crunch hard things to crunch.
Yeah. I feel like the gyms would be empty if that was the case.
But it's only good for your jaw. It's not good for your whole body.
Right. Exactly. So
What's your favorite kind of gum?
I like the Polar Ice Extra, the light blue color.
Okay.
That one's probably my favorite.
My favorite is the it's the classic Orbit, whatever kind of mint that is.
Oh yeah, that peppermint.
Peppermint.
The peppermint.
I like
blue Orbit with like the red leaf on it.
There's no red leaf
I thought there was a red leaf on that. Or no, it's a red eye in Trident. And it's just like the peppermint leaf. That's what it is.
Yeah. I like Peppermint Orbit.
You know, gum is ridiculously expensive for what it is. To like just chew it up and throw it away, I feel like it's kind of pricey. Kind of depends on where you go to get it though.
I tend to chew gum for the most part for at least 2 hours per stick.
Oh, you can?
I mean, after a while, it doesn't taste good anymore, but like it keeps me occupied and keeps me moving and stimulated, I guess.
I have to be pretty busy to chew one that long. Now, I will go through them that long if I'm working on something. Like if I'm changing hydraulic lines on a tractor, you know, baling hay or something like that. I can chew on a piece of gum for quite a long time.
I have to chew it after I go to El Keratin. Just because, like, okay,
oh yeah,
my food was good, but like
onions, spices.
I'd also like my mouth
grease.
I'd like my mouth to feel clean again. It's
Yeah, not like a big grease paste that's just taking a bath inside your mouth.
chewing gum does not replace brushing your teeth.
No,
but
it helps.
Orbit especially, you know, dentists are always like, oh yeah, chew Orbit, like it's good for your good. Maybe it's not good for your mouth, but there's no negatives to chewing Orbit.
Right.
And it does kind of scrub your mouth just a little bit.
It's not like the sugary bubble gum with Red 40 in it.
Ugh. I will say, every once in a blue moon, I do appreciate a stick of juicy fruit.
Juicy fruit's pretty good.
Do you know what fruit juicy fruit derives its flavor from?
No, I don't.
Jackfruit. Have you ever heard of jackfruit before?
I'm assuming it's related to Jill fruit.
No. I can't remember exactly where it's coming from. It might be Africa or it might be the Caribbean.
I've heard of jackfruit before.
Have you ever seen one before?
No.
I don't think I have the picture of me anymore. So freshman year of college, we still lived in Grant County. And over spring break, I went to Meyer in Marion with my mom. And we're just strolling up and down the aisles in the produce section. And all of a sudden I see this giant fruit, bigger than I've ever seen in my entire life. I go, what the heck is this? The jackfruit are oftentimes at least like this big. So imagine like a bumpy, kind of hard exterior pear almost.
Oh, I've seen those. Okay. Yeah.
Like darkish chestnut brown.
Yeah, I've seen them.
You know, easily 10 to 15 pounds or heavier.
Whoa.
And they had a couple of them, and I like picked it up. It was like holding like a small baby. It was enormous.
That's incredible.
But I can't imagine. I don't know how much flesh you get out of it, but I can't imagine like taking that thing home and like eating any of it, because like it's probably gonna spoil before you can eat it all, you know?
Right.
But I do know a lot of vegans are using jackfruit now as like a meat substitute and using it and grinding it, and like there is a lot of nutritional value in it.
Sure.
But
And it has a good flavor.
yeah.
So,
But anyway,
jackfruit burgers. One of you brings those to a cookout. Good luck.
I'll try it.
I'll try it.
I probably won't like it, but I'll try it.
Yeah.
I've
Now,
had-
I tell you what is good, and as far as like the patty shaped stuff, eggplant. That stuff's pretty solid if you cook it right.
I'll pass.
I'm also a fan of like the zucchini eggplant kind of stuff anyway. But so you were talking about fruits and the flavors we derive from for stuff that's pretty normal to us. So have you ever had like the Runts banana hard candies or banana flavored candies and stuff?
Maybe like 100 years ago.
So
I'm
it
a
has
time
a
traveler.
candy flavor, but it doesn't taste like actual banana. That's because the flavor that it comes from is a synthetic copy of an extinct species of banana.
I feel like I've heard this before.
Isn't that crazy? I guess it's very appealing to make it this long.
You know what? Now that we're talking about bananas, you know who we need to have on to come talk?
Who?
Dr. Baggerman. Have her come talk
Yes!
about bananas.
Yes.
And
well,
livestock.
No, livestock's probably more up her alley. She knows a lot about the other stuff too, but yeah.
Well,
livestock is her big avenue.
I had a 15-minute conversation with her about bananas and how they're going extinct. And it was a very stimulating conversation that we had.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, oh, hey, have you heard that bananas are going extinct? She's like, oh my gosh, yes. And so like we had this long conversation, professor to student, one day after class for like 15 minutes, and I was late to my next class because we were talking about bananas.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, but yeah, enough with the fruit and flavored things and gum and things. I don't even remember where we were before this whole railroad started.
We're talking about why I don't like soup.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got the soup luncheon, and sign up to bring something in. There's all kinds of variants out there. My top 3. Well, I guess this gets a little bigger. I guess the more I experiment. The nice thing with soup is you can experiment a lot with it. I really love like beef barley soup with diced tomatoes and like half a bag of frozen vegetables and stuff in it. Super, super tasty. That cheesy chicken enchilada soup. I like to make chili, beef chili. I would love to try a white chicken chili sometime. I've ate them before, but I've never had. I've never like actually made one. I'll say the longer I go, I prefer beef in my soups.
Yeah.
Than chicken. The chicken's good, but there's another one that I experimented with recently just to see how it'd go. I basically made a chicken broth, and then you know those pot sticker dumplings, those that are like pork and stuff.
Yeah.
I threw those in with like some green onions and stuff, and it was super good. I was pretty pleased with it. So
I have a question.
yes,
What constitutes a soup?
broth or something in a pot. If it's a thicker soup, if it can still be scooped and put into a bowl and can't hold itself on a plate, I would call it a soup.
So does that make like dirt pudding a soup?
No, because it can sit on a plate without running away.
I'm trying to find an excuse to call a dessert a soup.
I suppose ice cream, when it's melted, could become a soup.
Ice cream soup.
Yeah. I'm sure it wouldn't be the worst ingredient you could put in one. Some people put anchovies in soups. I'm sure.
What's wrong with people? I think
So the guy's theological lesson, there's this problem called total depravity that exists in the world. And sometimes it makes its way into our dinner plates or our soup bowls.
in the name of celery, anchovies,
Cabbage.
cabbage.
I love cabbage. It just shouldn't be in a soup unless it's very, very finely shredded.
What else doesn't belong in soup?
Hot dogs do not belong in soup. So, when I was a youth pastor, one of my volunteers
Yes, this is a great story.
put this. They boiled hot dogs and then they made hot chocolate. And one of my youth leaders took some of this greasy hot dog water and mixed it with a hot cocoa packet and asked a kid if he would drink it. And he did.
And he liked it.
He liked it, and he's still alive because we're good friends with their parents, and we hung out with all of them this past Saturday. So, yes. Hot dogs do not belong in soup. Sausage does belong in soup because, you've got like gumbo.
But hot dogs are a sausage.
Not that kind of a sausage. It's more nitrates and organ meat that's ground up into a casing. That's pretty much what those are.
Okay, I buy nice hot dogs that are kosher, that don't have organ meat and odd bits and bobs in them.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So what's your favorite hot dog brand that you go shop for?
I really like Hebrew National. My wife is not thrilled with them, so she buys Nathan's, and it's fine.
Nathan's are pretty good. But yeah, Hebrew National is kind of the popular one that I've heard before too. Yeah, where's the best place to get those?
I don't know. She won't let me grocery shop. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
I've asked, like, you look really tired. Do you want me to go grocery shopping? No. I can follow a list, I promise. No. So we won't get into it.
That's funny. So other things that don't belong in soup. I almost want to say fruit, but I don't know. If somebody got creative with something, I don't know if I could knock them for that.
Well, here's the problem. Tomatoes are fruit.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Really sweet tree, like different tree fruits and stuff like that. Apples, pears,
Bananas.
now I do put Kylie and I do put chunked up apple into salads sometimes.
We're not talking about salad. We're talking about soup.
Right, I know, but soups and salads are kind of, in the same family. They're not really food, but they're a sign that food is to come.
Oh, I know what doesn't go in soup. Lettuce.
No, not at all. Lettuce should never go in soup.
Spinach. Arugula.
Yeah, nope, I don't think so.
Swiss chard.
Yeah,
Say that slow. Swiss chard.
Swiss chard. All right, so we've gone on the soup tangent long enough. We said this needed to be short.
Greg Mosier's going to be mad about this.
Why is this an hour and 15 minutes? We had a great interview, and then Coby and Brad got lost on soup talk. So
Welcome to Soup Talk.
welcome to Soup Talk. So this past week, we went in our second week of the We Believe series, Jesus Christ, the Son, the sonship of Jesus Christ. And that was, I'll be honest, that's like one of the more fun sermons I think I've preached as the guy who was delivering it. I just really enjoyed the content of all of that. Really looking forward to the Lordship of Jesus piece this week. I think the Lordship of Jesus is the greatest obstacle to a person following him, receiving the gospel. I think almost all the time it comes down to an issue of lordship. Do we really want him to be the one who's on the seat of our life, relinquishing our desires, our control, all of that kind of stuff from it? So really looking forward to that. And do we have anything else that can be useful?
Bingo night.
Yes.
Is Wednesday, February 11th.
Yes. I'm really excited
Starting
about
at
this.
6:45, but you should come at 6 and eat some dinner. Judy will feed you. Is that correct? Judy will feed everybody.
Yeah, there's a supper that night.
Well, there
Yeah.
better be, because these kids are gonna have a conniption.
Well,
if they
some
don't.
of the adults might do that too.
Yes. Greg Mosier will have a conniption if he's not fed dinner. Greg, I heard that you were upset that I haven't talked about you, so now I'm going to talk about you a bunch. You're welcome.
I never said he was upset. He asked before he listened to the last episode, because we recorded last Wednesday, and he said, "So I'm curious. Did you mention my name? Because I said something to Coby how you guys kept bringing me up, and then Coby said, well, now I'm just going to make it a point to bring you up every week. So Greg, on behalf of myself, I apologize for what he does." Yeah. Tell you what, you and I both got haircuts in the last several days, so I think it'd be a great idea if Greg gave Coby his haircut the next time.
I don't think so.
I think it's a great idea.
Greg, you're giving grief about my
Hey,
haircut.
you're talking about fundraisers for youth group. Give Coby a haircut.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I love this idea. But hey, we do have some really exciting stuff that's going to be coming out in the spring. He's got some really good ideas for some youth fundraisers and some experiences he's wanting to take them on. We'll look forward to updating you on those when they come. So
Start saving your money now.
yeah,
We're gonna
absolutely.
We're going to be auctioning off some great things during an event.
Yes.
What are they? Can't tell you, but you're going to find out. But start saving your pennies.
Yep.
That are not being made anymore. That's a whole thing. They're not making pennies anymore. Where's the outrage?
I don't know. I guess they lost the mint.
I can't anymore.
Thank you for joining us, our wonderful, lovely, dear church family, and
I didn't want to be done yet. And
listeners in the community.
He's trying to end this episode.
He's not ready to be done yet.
I don't know what else to talk about, but I don't want to be done.
So we'll end there, and we'll let you resume next week when you have more things to say. Write all of them down so they don't get missed. Thank you, church. May the Lord bless you. Enjoy your weekend.
Be sure to drink your cabbage.